Hello friends, here we will be discussing the rural banking unit 1 demographic features. So see the structure of this unit. We are having objectives, introduction, population, literacy, 6th economic census, agriculture census, socio-economic development indicators, health, nutrition, education and the rural urban migration. So basically what do you mean by demographic feature? See, we the nation, we are having different demographic feature. For example, what is the population of India, what is the literacy rate in the India, what is the economic situation in India, what is the agriculture position, then what is the scenario for the health, nutrition, education and migration. So combinedly you can say these are the demographic feature of the country, right? So that we have to discuss in detail. So let's see some introduction part. See here first, see, before any discussion on the rural economy, right? So here we are discussing the rural banking. That means the most of the part we are discuss about the rural economy. Understanding some basic feature of the country. Before we are starting the discussion, we should understand some basic feature of the country. For example, rural population, literacy, health and nutrition, etc. These are very much essential, right? To understand the rural economy, you should understand some rural features like a population in the rural area, literacy of the country, health, nutrition, right? Now, our country's yearly population increase is equivalent to the total population of Australia. So here, see here, how much we are having the population increase for 1 year, that is equivalent to the total population of Australia. That means every year we are producing one Australia, right? So that much of population we are having, right? So what I can say, so that means these are the population is one of the demographic feature, right? That's why it is important to understand the demographic feature of the country, so that how we can utilize the best resources. Okay, now it would mean that we are adding total Australian population every year. Okay, so very simple, what is the our increase in the population is equivalent to 1 Australia per year, right? So this is just a funny informative part. Now see, for the measurement of the better life, HDI developed by the United Nations Development Program, UNDP. Now see, how we can measure the life, the better life, how we can measure. For that purpose, what is the improvement in the life of the humans, how it can be measured. For that purpose, there is one index called as the Human Development Index, right? And it is developed by whom? Important, it is United Nations Development Program. UNDP has developed the Human Development Index, which gives indication of the living condition. So if Human Development Index is more, that means that country is good, right? For example, in the developed country like Australia, then you can say in the Britain, right, or the Norway, these are the developed country where the Human Development Index is high, right? So which gives indication of living condition. So in that country living condition will be better, right? So with increasing pressure of the population on the land, agriculture, people move to the urban area in the hope of making better living. This migration escalates the problem of the urban area. So obviously from rural area people are moving to the urban area. Why? Because in the urban area there are better schools for their children, better hospitals, better healthcare is there, right? So better other opportunity, job opportunity is there. So due to this, people are moving from rural area to urban area, and that's why the load or the pressure in the urban area increases. The population increases, that means all it will increase, right? So suddenly there is increase in the population in the urban area. Due to this, there is a load on the different infrastructure available, right? There will be a very much rush in the transport, there will be a rush in the hospitals, schools, right? That means pressure in the urban area will increase. So that we have to discuss in detail in this chapter. Okay, so now see further, what do you mean by the population and what are the statistics of the population in India, that we have to discuss. Okay, so population means what? Simply the number of peoples, right? So in India around we are having 121 crores of the population. Okay, so see, in the world of the 7 billion people, so in the world how many people are there? In the world we are having 7 billion people. India is likely to overtake China by 2030. So according to the estimate, if we continue to grow by the current population, then we can overtake the China in 2030. That means China is the first highly populated country. After that, second is the India. But if we continue our production in the same way, by 2030 we will overtake the China. Okay, now the second most populous country is India, right? First is China. So this India accounts for more than 17% of the population. Means what? If there are 100 people in the world, so India is having out of that 17. Okay, so India's contribution in the population is 17%. That means every 17th people in the world is the Indian. Okay, now about see 2.5% of the area of the world. See, if this is the population of the world, 17% is the India. If this is the geographical area of the world, then only 2.5% will be goes to India. That means see how much pressure. Every 17th person is from India, right? But we are having limited land, only 2.4% land of the world we are occupying. That means there is a huge people on our limited land, right? So in contrast to the USA, around 7.2% of the surface area, that is the geographical area, and only 4.5% they are having the population, world's population. Okay, so you can imagine here we are having 17% population, but we are having 2.4% of the area only. But with compared to USA, there is 7.2% area and only 4.5% of the population which compared to the world's population. So here you can come to know how much there is a pressure on the available resources in India, right? Now see, so here the important thing you should remember, if we continue to grow like this, we will overtake the China by 2030. Okay, and we are having 17% of the world's population in India and area 2.4%. Now state-wise population distribution as per the last census 2011, that is 2011, indicates that UP, that is Uttar Pradesh, continue to the most populous state. So according to the census 2021, according to the census 2011, UP is the highest population. UP is having highest population. And how many people? 200 million people. And this that 200 million people is nothing but the 16% of total population. Means what? Every 16th person in India is from UP. So I can say like that, okay, because UP is having 16% of total population in alone only one state. So state of Maharashtra and the Bihar have made the transition to more than 100 million population category. So 100 million around, so we can say 9% of the population of each. So in the state of Maharashtra and Bihar, the population is more than 10 CR. Okay, and which is 9% of the total population. Okay, so here the important bit you should understand, as per the last census which was held in 2011, the which state is the having highest population is the Uttar Pradesh. It is the Uttar Pradesh. Okay, after that we can say Uttar Pradesh is having 16% of the population of India. Okay, so that bit you can remember. Now see, as per the United Nations estimate, world population grew at annual rate of 1.23% during 2000 to 2010. India's growth rate was 1.3%. See, world is growing, world's population is growing at 1.23, and we are going, the Indian population is growing 1.3%. That means we are growing more than the world's population, right? So India, so after that see, Russia witnessing the decline in the population. So only the country you can say, Russia, there is population decrease in the Russia, right? There is no increase in the population, but we can say reversely. You can easily remember, because Russia is the only country where noticeable changes has been there, because the population is declining. China's much lower growth rate, that is the third lowest in the top 10 most populous countries, behind Russia and Japan. So if you count, right, the country which are most populated, and we are counting the lower growth rate, then there will be Russia, because there is negative growth rate. After that, less growth, we can say the Japan, and after that there is China, because China has a very hard rule about the population. I think recently China has also adopted the one child policy, then two child policy. That's why China has also decreased their population growth rate. So Russia, Japan and China. You know, in Japan also there are a lot of people which are having more age, or you can say the country which is having aged people is also called as the Japan is also called as the country of old age people, because there are more people they are having age more than 60. Okay, so this is all about the population, right? So see here, so friends, now see, India is at stage 3 of the 4-stage model of the demographic transition. Now see, what do you mean by the 4-stage model? So see, there is one model for the demographic transition that we will be discussing in the session in the next slides. Okay, but you only remember here, India is at which stage? In the 3rd stage of the demographic transition model. How many stages? There are 4 stages total, and India is now in the 3rd stage. Okay, now see, EAG states. What is EAG states? There are 8 EAG states in the India. EAG means Empowered Action Group. EAG stands for Empowered Action Group. EAG states for these are what? These are what? There are 8 EAG states, right? So first is UP, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Bihar, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan and Odisha. Okay, so these are the 8 EAG states. Now see, what do you mean by EAG? EAG stands for the Empowered Action Group. Now see, why that EAG? Because the development of that states determine the development of the nation. Why? Because it is commonly considered that the Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Bihar, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan and Odisha, these are the backward states, right? So development of these 8 states, which are the EAG states, is considered as the development of the nation. Okay, now see further, what do you mean by the crude birth rate? So see, at the national level during 2018 it stands 20. So what do you mean by crude birth rate? So simply remember, how many births are there for the 1000 population? Okay, this is simply the birth rate or the crude birth rate. Means what? The crude word is used because the population is considered in the middle of the year. Okay, so you simply remember, it is not important, you should simply remember it is the birth rate per 1000 people. So at the national level for the India in 2018 it was 20. So 20 per 1000 people. Maximum CBR is the crude birth rate, has been reported in the Bihar. So you are very much aware, right? So highest CBR is in the Bihar, it is 26.2, and minimum in the Kerala it is 13.9. Okay, so that things you can note. Okay, so further see here, what do you mean by the then CDR? CBR is the crude birth rate. Now what is the CDR? CDR is the crude death rate. Here for the country it was 6.2, that means how many person died per 1000 people. It is 6.2 in 2018. So maximum CDR has been reported in the Chhattisgarh, it was 8, and the minimum is for Delhi 3.3. Okay, so these are the crude birth rate and the death rate. Okay, now see further, the infant mortality rate, IMR. IMR means infant mortality rate. So here it has also registered 1 point decline to 32 in 2018 from 33 in 2017, right? So what do you mean by that? You see, infant mortality rate means what? How many infant are dying, right? So basically you have to understand here what, see, due to the increase in the medical facility, that rate has been declined, right? So it was 32 in 2018, previously it was 33 in 2017. So it is counted for 1000 infant. Okay, the maximum IMR has been observed in the Madhya Pradesh. So in the highest, where is the infant mortality rate? In the MP it is highest, 48 per 1000 people, and again minimum in the Kerala, 7 for 1000 infant. Okay, so that beats you can remember. Okay, now further we talk about the sex ratio. So sex ratio at the birth for the country is 899 in 2016-17 from 896 in 2015-17. So you can notice here one thing, see, 899 was in 16-18, right, and 896 in 15, 17. So we have increased. There is somehow improvement in the sex ratio, right? So Chhattisgarh has reported highest sex ratio at the birth 958, and the Uttarakhand has lowest 840. Okay, so what do you mean by at the birth? That means, see, it is a very simple. How many female are there for 1000, right? How many female are there for 1000 male, right? So at a birth means, how if there is a birth of 1000, how if there is a birth of 1000 children, out of that how many are the female child? Okay, these are the sex ratio at the birth. Okay, now see, Kerala has the highest sex ratio in the India. It has a sex ratio 1084 as per the 2011 census. You all are very much aware, right? Kerala is having more female than male, we can say like that. Okay, it is 1084 as per the 2011 census. Okay, now further, total fertility rate TFR for the country is 2.2 in 2017. So what do you mean by total fertility rate? Here, see, total fertility rate means here for one female, how many children that female can reproduce, that is called as the fertility rate, right? So for example, here during 2018, the Bihar has reported the highest TFR, that is 3.2 children per female, while in Delhi and West Bengal it is lowest in the TFR, that is the total fertility rate. Got it? So you should understand at least the concept. Fertility rate means how much is the child is being produced by the female, simply, right? So in simple word, Bihar is having highest. You can easily apply common sense, you will get the answer to that. Bihar is having highest 3.2 and lowest in Delhi and the West Bengal. Now further, population pyramid. So what is a population pyramid? So you understand here, population pyramid, see, pyramid is always like that, right? So population pyramid means here is the age. So here is the age of, and as we go above, age increases. So there should be more people in the lower age group. It is the more age. These are the lower age. Okay. So step is pyramid, right? That means ideally there should be a more young people in the population. So see here, the population pyramid represent complex changes in the age structure of the population in the developed country. The shape is almost cylindrical instead of a pyramid because of the high life expectancy and low fertility. Why? See, in developed country like say America, the shape is cylindrical. So shape is like this. That means there are number of people having lower age. For example, young people is equal to their old people. So it is not good for the country. But in the developed country, you remember, in the developed country, what is the shape of that pyramid? Population pyramid, it is almost cylindrical. But in India, we are having this type of shape. That means young people are more and the old people are less in the population. Okay. Now, India's population consists of the large portion of children and the person in the reproductive age. That means we are the young country, means we are having the population of young people more. Okay, so see here through example graphical representation, what is a population pyramid? You can see this is the pyramid like structure, right? Now see here, if we talk about this age group 10 to 14, we are having this lot much of age group, lot of the population. Now see further, if I talk about the person 80 plus, so we are having very less, right? So that means what I have to say, we the India are the young country because more population is young in India, right? So now see the sex ratio as per the 2011 census, it is 943, which was 941 in 61 and 927 in 1991. That means there is improvement. That means there is improvement in the sex ratio. Okay, as per 2011 you can only remember it is 943. The lowest sex ratio was noticed in the Haryana 877. So these are the bits which you are already much familiar if you are going to the newspaper, right? So it is you are very much familiar to that, right? Because in Haryana there is a lot of shortage of the women or the girls for the marriage. So you are reading that in the news. So Haryana is having the lowest sex ratio. But in case of after that Jammu Kashmir 883, then Sikkim 889. Okay, so lowest is Haryana. Okay, you remember that. Among the Union Territory, lowest sex ratio is being recorded in the Div and Daman. Only 618 female are there for 1000 male. Okay, Dadra and Nagar Haveli 775 and Chandigarh is 817. Okay, so these are important. 943 means there are only 943 female for per 1000 male. Okay, this is what? This is the sex ratio. Okay, now in Haryana it is lowest 877. That means for 1000 male there is only 877 female. So how then that can be managed? Okay, so that's why we have to, it is necessary to study the population also. Okay, now see what are the issue regarding to the population. So India currently in the stage 3 of the demographic transition. So in the previously I have told you, right? So we are in the stage 3. So here we will discuss in detail what are the stages of the demographic transition. Okay, so now see here through diagram you will get, see, notice, you have to understand here, this is what the see, this is the population growth. This is yellow line is population growth. Okay, now see, this red line is birth rate, right? And that red is death rate, and the green is what? That is what? The birth rate. Okay, so you remember. Okay, this is the death, this is the total population increasing. So how population increases? In this order. Okay, how death? This is the death, and this is the birth rate. Okay, so these are the graphs. Now see states. This is the first stage, this is second stage, this is third stage, and these are the fourth stage. That means there are total 4 stages in the demographic transition. Okay, so India out of that in third stage. That means here is India. Okay, where stable death rate, falling birth rate. Okay, so what do you mean by it? See, one by one I will give you the detailed brief. See, in stage 1, this is the first stage. Okay, so this is the first stage. Okay, high birth rate and high death rate, both are high. So see here, birth rate is high and death rate is also high, around 35, both are high, right? So here it slow population growth. So see, this is what? This is the population growth, which is very slow in the first stage, right? So both the birth rate and death rate is high. That's why the population is very slowly increasing. Okay, stage 1. Now see, in stage 2. In stage 2, what is happening? Death rate falls, but birth rate remains high. So here, see, this is the stage 2, right? Here, what is happening? Death rate falls, but birth rate remains same, right? So birth rate remains same. So less death, more birth. So faster population growth. So the growth of population is faster here. Got it? Now in stage 3, birth rates start to fall. So in stage 3, this is the stage 3 where India lies in the stage 3. Here birth rate start to fall. Means what? See here, birth rate start to fall and population growth starts to slowly. And here is also the population growth is again starting slowly. Okay, but here birth rate falling. Okay, so India is in the third stage where birth rate is falling. Still we are slowly increasing the population. Okay, now fourth stage, birth rate reaches the same low level as the death rate. Okay, in the last stage, birth rate is equal to the death rate. See here, here is the death rate, right? Now this birth rate reaches to the same level here, right? And so what happened? The population rate, increase in the population almost flat. So it is almost 0. Okay, so these are the 4 stages of the demographic transition. Okay, so India is in the third stage, remember. Okay, now toward the end of a demographic transition, that is stage 4, countries tend to achieve the stable population with a high social and economic development. So in the fourth stage, country will achieve the highest social as well as the economical development. So a country where which are in the fourth stage, they are having highest social and the economic development. Okay, now this is all about the transition. Now see, GDP at a factor cost has grown annually by more than 10.2% during 2001 to 2010. That means in that decade of first 2001 to 10, the GDP at a, what do you mean by GDP at a factor cost? See, that we have to discuss in the ABM. Okay, so here you don't need to worry. Okay, so increasing the per capita NNP. NNP means what? Net national product. Twofold. That means almost 2 times it has been increased. Okay, so see that figure you don't need to remember. Okay, so but concept about GDP at factor cost. What is NNP? That will be discussed in the ABM. We are having separate chapter on that. Okay, now see what do you mean by literacy. So literacy means simply the person who is able to write and read, right? So according to the 2011 census, any person having age 7 and above has the ability to read and write is considered as a literate. Okay, so who is literate? Simply the person who is able to write and who is able to read, that will be the literate person. So in India, while the adult literacy rate is measured for the people aged above 15 years, the rate of youth literacy is measured for the people 15 to 24. You understand? So for youth literacy rate, what is age group? 15 to 24. And for adult literacy rate, age is above 15. Got it? So above 15 all, but 15 to 24 is only for the youth literacy. Very easy, right? Now, literacy rate is calculated by the dividing number of literate for given age by the corresponding age group population and multiplied by 100. So simply literacy rate. Okay, the average literacy rate in India is 74.04%, which was 64.8 in 2001. That means we have increased in the literacy, right? So you have to note here what is literacy rate in India. That can be a question. So it is 74.04. Okay, now the Kerala has the highest 93.91%, and Bihar has the lowest, that is a 63.82% literacy in the India. Okay, so that two state you have to remember. I know you are very much familiar, right? Kerala is having highest literacy 93.91, and less is in the Bihar 63.82. Okay, and India 74.04%. Okay, now see, while the we talk about the female literacy rate. Female literacy rate in India as per 2011 census is 65.5%. That means overall is 74.04%, but out of that only female is having 65.5% only. Okay, so for female it is less. Now the Mizoram, Tripura, Goa, Kerala, Puducherry, Chandigarh, Lakshadweep, Daman and Diu, National Capital Territory of Delhi and the Andaman Nicobar have literacy rate almost 85% according to 2011 census. So see, these states are, you can go through it. Okay, because these states are, we can say these are Mizoram, Tripura, Goa, these are small states, but Kerala is having highest, right? So these states are having almost 85%. If it combine that state now, then you will get 85% literacy rate. Okay, so that is not important, it is just a bit you should understand, right? So you only remember here female literacy rate is 65.5, overall India is 74.04, and Kerala is having highest and Bihar is having lowest. Okay, now see, the Constitution of India lays down the several provisions to ensure the educational rights. These provisions are, so see, we are very much aware, right? Education is very important. So for that purpose there is provision in the Constitution of India. First is what? Education for the minority. So article 30 of the Constitution gives all the minority the right to establish and administer the institution of their own choice. So you are very much aware, right? So there is a right for every religion in the minority. They can have their own school, they can run that their own school. For example, in our country, for a Muslim community, they are having their own Urdu language schools, right? So these are the provision in the Constitution itself. Apart from that, the free and compulsory education. So free and compulsory education means the Constitution directive principle instruct the state to ensure that all citizens should receive the free education. So it is a provision in the Constitution, but it is only the directive principle. Directive principle means these are not mandatory. These are not mandatory. These are just a direction where government should work. So it is directed in the Constitution itself that there should be free education for all citizens. It is the directive principle. It is not compulsory, but government should work on that. Okay, so it is still it is not that much of implemented, because there is a privatization. Private schools are also there, right? But government is giving subsidy in the school tuition fee for the backward community also. Okay, now The quality of opportunity in the educational institution means what? See, equal opportunity should be provided to everyone, including those related to the education. Article 21A of the Constitution was amended to provide the free and compulsory education as the fundamental right in 2001, right, to all the children having age 6 to 14. So see, you are very much aware, right? There is one amendment in the Constitution, and according to that amendment, education, the free and compulsory education is not only free, but it should be the compulsory. For whom? For the age of 6 to 14 years. And it is a fundamental right. This is the fundamental right of the children to get educated for at least 6 to 14 years. Okay, you are very much familiar about this also. Okay, apart from that, education of the weaker section. The Indian Constitution safeguard the educational interest of the weaker section. So what are the weaker section? See, socially or economically or even educationally backward family, which also include the family of the SC and ST. So for them also there is a educational provision for the in the Indian constitutions. Okay, so these are what? These are the provision in the Indian Constitution regarding what? The educational right. Now see, in the census prior to 1981, the literacy rate was calculated by taking into account of entire population. So see, there is a population from 0 to 100 age. Okay, but see, the population 0 to say 6 year, they are not going to school. So obviously that will be the illiterate, right? So that this method was modified in 1991. So in 1991 they come to know that this is we have to change, right? So they have excluded 0 to 6 age group from calculation of the literacy rate. Okay, very funny. Now therefore from 1991 the literacy rate in India was calculated for the above 7 years of the age. Now see here, the following measures has been taken by the government to improve the literacy standard in the India. So what the measures? Very simple. There are some scholarship examination. Apart from that, the government provide uniform, textbook and the stationery to the students in the government schools. There is a midday meal scheme was started in 1995 for providing the free food, and that will lead to improving the enrollment in the students, increase in the attendance and retention in the schools. Okay, so that was I was also the beneficiary in the midday school scheme. Okay, now Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, this was also launched by the government in around I think in 2021. Recently it is being launched. Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, this was launched with the goal to improve the school effectiveness up to the 12th standard is applicable. So it is improving the school effectiveness. Okay, so this will measured in terms of the equal opportunity for the schooling, equitable learning outcome. That is mainly, see, Samagra Shiksha program was mainly focusing on the quality education. So this is mainly started by the government in 2021. So politically it was I can say if in the Delhi government was a lot of doing in the sector of education. So it was somehow backbone of or the relation with the politics also. Okay, so in 2021 this Samagra Shiksha program started by the central government. Okay, now awareness campaign in the rural area, these are also taken initiative that there will be awareness campaigns in the rural area are happening for what? To improve the literacy in the India. Okay, so these are what? So these are the measure taken by the governments to improve the literacy. Okay, now see, sixth economic census. So what do you mean by economic census? See, economic census means we are doing census, right? So we count the people. In the same way, here we are looking for the economic parameter of the country. So the CSO, that is Central Statistical Office of Government of India, is in the creation and the updation of database regarding to the various sector of the Indian economy. The sixth economic census, that is sixth economic census, was conducted in January 13 to April 14. Through the seventh economic, though the seventh economic census has delayed due to the pandemic COVID, right? So we are having the data only for the sixth economic census. Why seventh economic census could not concluded? Because the COVID or the pandemic. Okay, now economic census is what? It count of all the entrepreneur unit in the country. That means how many factories are there, basically how many small establishments are there, how many shops are there, like that. Okay, so this is what economic census is taking count of all information on the number of units and the employment, whether employment is unpaid or paid employment, how many female employees are there, how many child workers are there, what is the ownership, private ownership, apart from that whether there is partnership, like that, whether it is a registration of establishment is happening or not, what is the source of finance to that company, like that. Okay, so this all information has been taken. Complete address of the enterprises having 10 or more workers is also recorded. So this is all about the economic census. Okay, so basically in economic census we are taking the information about the entrepreneur units in the country. Okay, now see the establishments in the country. Okay, see, as per the result of the 6th economic census, there are 58.5 million establishment in the country, out of which 34.8, that is what, 59.4% in the rural area, and 23.7 million, that is 40.52% in the urban area. So you understand here, one you small and bit you have to note how many establishments are there. You don't need to remember the figure, but you at least remember the percentage. Okay, so you can see broadly 60% in the rural area and 40% in the urban area. See, you can see, so rural area is having more establishment than the urban area. Got it? Now 5 states, say Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, West Bengal and Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh. Okay, so taken together around 50% of total establishment. So see, if you take UP plus Maharashtra plus West Bengal plus Tamil Nadu plus Andhra Pradesh, so these are the 5 states if you taken into together, so that will have more than 50% of the establishment in the country. Okay, if you talk about the percentage, UP is having 11.4%, Maharashtra around 10%, Bengal again 10%, Tamil Nadu is 8%, and Andhra is having 7% of the establishment in the country. Okay, now among these establishment, 45.3 million, that is 77.5%, were engaged into the non-agricultural activity. Okay, so you remember, you see, we are having total, if we are having total 100 establishment in the country, out of that 77 are from non-agriculture sector. Okay, and only remaining say 13% broadly, 13.22% remaining is say broadly 23% say these are from the agriculture activity, which are other than production and plantation, that means farming, right? So you remember here 77.5% these are from non-agricultural establishment, and the 22.45% from the agriculture activity other than the crop production and plantation, that means other than the farming. Okay, now see here further, 89% of the units were owned by the proprietor. Out of that 15.4% are owned by female. So out of 100, 89%. So see, you can see how proprietary firm is popular in India. 89% of the establishment are from proprietary tribe, and out of that 15.4, these are very less percentage, these are the owner are the female. Okay, so these are the important numbers. Now let's have a look about the employment. So about 50%, that is 51.7% in the rural, 48.2% in the urban area was employed in the establishment. Okay, so take a state, say Maharashtra, UP, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu and Gujarat have combined share of 50% in the total employment. So if we talk about the employment, Maharashtra, UP, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu and Gujarat, they are having more than 50% share in the establishment employment. Okay, say Maharashtra is having 11% employment, UP is 10%, West Bengal 9, Tamil Nadu 8, Gujarat 7. Okay, so these are the figure, is not important, but order you if possible you can remember. Apart from that, 82% worked in the non-agriculture and 17% in the agriculture establishment. The share of the female in the employment is 25%, say 25.17 of a total employment, and 61.9 of a female employment was in the rural area. Okay, so see, percentage understanding and noting the percentage is I don't think it is important. Okay, but some things which you must understand. You have to understand the structure of rural India. Okay, that's why that lot of figure in the percentage is also given. So it is not necessary you should remember all the figure. Okay, because we are the human, it is not, we are not the computer, we are not the memory chip, right? So it is but obvious you will forgot it, but maximum you try to gain it. Okay, now employment in the agriculture. So see, among the agriculture activity, maximum employment found to be under the livestock sector, constituting 84.86 of the agriculture sector. So if you talk about the agriculture employment in the agri sector, so livestock means what? Say like animal, we are having the animal like dairy milk, dairy product like that. Okay, so these are based on basically the animal, like animal milk, right? And then some animals are being also produced like say chicken, right? So these are what livestock agriculture. Okay, so these contribute 84% around, right? Now see, in non-agriculture activity, maximum number of workers were found to be engaged in the manufacturing sector. See, in agriculture we are very much familiar. Now in non-agriculture, maximum workers are in the manufacture sector with having 28%. After that, the retail trade with 25% and the education with 9%. Okay, so apart from the agriculture, we are having different sectors, say manufacturing, retail trade and the education. Out of that, maximum were employed in the manufacturing sector. These three activity, say manufacturing, retail and the education, together accounted 63% of a total employment in non-agricultural sector. Okay, now what are the agricultural establishment? So let's see some data. As per the CSO, the share was 16.3% of a GVA, that is a gross value added, during 2021 to at a 2011-12 base at a current price. So see, nowadays almost everywhere the base year has been taken 2011-12, and generally it is being calculated at a current price. There are two price, current price, nominal price. So it is now decided to take the calculation at the current price. Okay, so these are the concept of the GDP. You don't need to go into detail. Okay, now agricultural establishment as per the 6th economic census, 7th was delayed due to the COVID. What are the agricultural establishment? The establishment which are in the production of the agriculture goods, but not for the crop production or the plantation. Apart from the crop production and the plantation, or the agriculture services, hunting, trapping, etc. These are the agricultural establishment. Further, agriculture establishment for the purpose of 6th economic census also include the establishment including in the livestock, say animal production or its support activity like hunting or trapping, say forestry, fishing, aquaculture. So these are the part of livestock. Okay, fishery. So these are what? The livestock. So these are the agricultural establishment. Now see further, agricultural establishment according to the 6th census, there were agricultural establishment accounting 22.4% of a total establishment in the country. So around 22% are the agricultural establishment out of total establishment. About 92% of the establishment were located in the rural area, right? Because agriculture mainly in the part of rural, so obviously it is a very much obvious thing. The agriculture establishment constituted 17.4% of a total employment, right? These point I know you are very much familiar. 17% employment come from the agriculture sector. Female were employed 38.85% of total employment in the agriculture establishment. Gujarat had a maximum number of agriculture establishment around 1.75 million, which is around 13.36% of the total agriculture in the country. It is followed by then Tamil Nadu 13.31%, Maharashtra 12.1%, Andhra 11.1% and UP 11.1%. Okay, so again I repeat, here you don't need to mug up the percentage, but it possible you have to remember the highest. Okay, so here you should remember this statement: Gujarat has the highest number of agriculture establishment. This is important, right? So such a statement you have to remember. Now Let's talk about non-agricultural establishment. So see, a non-agricultural establishment for the purpose of sixth economic census has been defined as the establishment which was engaged in the mining, quarrying, manufacturing, which includes the repairing and installation of machinery also. Okay, then electricity, gas, steam, water supply, etc., etc. Okay, so these are what non-agriculture establishment. 45.36 million non-agriculture establishment, say 22.7% in the rural and 22.6 in the urban area in the country, which accounted for the 77.5% in the total establishment. Okay, so these are the figure, just go on through it. About 82.57% of total person worked in the non-agriculture establishment. So this is important. Okay, so there are 82.57 of total person in the country, these are employed in the non-agricultural establishment. Female are 22.28% and about 50.6% of them are found in the rural area. Okay, so again what I have to observe here, the female are working in the non-agricultural establishment which are in the rural area is around 50%. Okay, so these are just figure, you just go through it, it is not expected you remember you have to remember all figure. Okay, no, 28% of workers were found to be engaged in the manufacturing, followed by the retail 25% and the education 9%. Taken together, three activity accounted for 63% of the total employment in non-agricultural sector. So this statement appeared two times, which highlights its important. Okay, so this statement you have to remember because this is important. If we add three sector like manufacturing plus retail, trade plus education, all three combinedly having the 63% of the employment in the non-agriculture sector. Okay, so this statement is important for exam point of view. Okay, then see handicraft or the handloom establishment. It is observed that total number of handicraft or the handloom establishment in the country is 18.7 lakhs, which is around out of which 59.6, that means around 60% of which in the rural area, because that main work is in the rural area, handicraft and handloom. Now top 5 states where the number of handlooms are more. So in West Bengal 17.6% in the West Bengal, 16.5 in the UP, 7.8 in the Odisha, 7.5 in the Andhra Pradesh and 6.8 in the Tamil Nadu. These are the top 5 states. Apart from that, 42 lakh person were employed in the handicraft and the handloom sector, and about 52.67% of them were employed in the rural area. Okay, so this figure you have to remember, around 42 lakh person are employed in the handicraft and the handloom sector. Okay, that figure is important, 42 lakh, and which is around what, 52 out of that 42 lakh, the 52% were employed in the rural area. That means around 50% you can say. Okay, so that 42 lakh figure is important, you have to remember. Okay, out of that 52.6% was in the rural area. Okay, now further see women entrepreneurs. So in India, female headed household were 11.5% in the rural area and 12.4 in the urban area. What do you mean by it? That means see, female headed household, that means the house which are mainly run by the female. So in the rural area it is 11.5% only, but in urban area it is 12.4%. That means in urban area female are taking more control. Okay, now female literacy rate was 65.46% as per 2011 census, which is again two times repeated, so it is again the important bit for exam point of view. Okay, female literacy rate in India. Now what is India's overall? 74.04. Highest literacy rate Kerala, lowest Bihar. Further, workforce participation rate for the female is 25.5 as per 2011 census. Now it is observed that 13.76% of a total number of establishment were run by the women entrepreneurs. So this is also again important. Out of total establishment, 13.76 owned by the basically women entrepreneurs. Then Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra and West Bengal, Maharashtra had highest number of women owned establishment. First is what? Tamil Nadu. So salute to the Tamil Nadu women's. They are having highest number of own establishment. Okay, after that Kerala, Andhra and then West Bengal. So This is the first session of this chapter. Next session we will be discussing in the next video. Meanwhile, you can subscribe our YouTube channel Banker Zone. You can download the Banker Zone application. Link is given in the description. This is our group for CAIIB. For that, you can have a search in the Telegram CAIIB BZ. CAIIB BZ. Without space, you search that, you will get the Banker Zone group. Okay, this is our channel for the notes, Banker Zone, JIB, CIB. Okay, thank you friends. We'll continue our discussion in the next video.